Did you know the longest PGA drive is unbreakable? In 1992 at the Texas Open, Carl Cooper, who averaged 272 yards a drive, hit the unofficial longest PGA drive ever. He hit a drive down the par 4 third hole, and the ball landed on a concrete cart path angled downhill. By the time the ball came to a complete stop, it had traveled 787 yards, landing him on the 12th green where he would have a 300-yard shot back to the green. He would go on to score a double bogey. However, did you know there's only been one hole-in-one on a par 4 in the history of the PGA, and it was made in the craziest way possible? It famously came at the 2001 Phoenix Open, now known as the Waste Management Open, when Andrew McGee's tee shot on the 332-yard par 7 at TPC Scottsdale would soar into the group that was still on the green, and the ball would bounce off of Tom Byron's putter and go into the hole for an ace. Did you know Tiger Woods' longest PGA drive is almost 100 yards longer than Bryson DeChambeau's longest PGA drive? Bryce's longest PGA drive was recorded at 403 yards in 2022, which still made it significantly less than what Tiger hit 20 years previously with what you could say is slightly less technologically advanced equipment, which Tiger used to hit a 495-yard bomb in 2002. Did you know golf was the first sport played outside the Earth's atmosphere? Most golfers really want to avoid sand traps, but in 1971, this didn't stop Apollo 14 astronaut Alan Shepard from taking out his modified 6-iron made of a Wilson staff iron head attached to a 5-piece sampling tool held together by strings. After practicing a number of times in his 200-pound suit in the local bunkers, he would hit a few balls of 24 and 47 yards in front of a TV camera, then fold up the club, climb up the ladder, and then head out the door to take off. While Shepard left the balls behind on the moon, he was able to keep his club when he got back. He would later donate it to the USGA Museum in New Jersey. However, did you know the rarest shot in golf has officially only been recorded 5 times? With the last one the first to ever happen. I'm talking about the mystical condor. First time this was achieved was in 1962 by Larry Bruce, who cut the corner of a dog-leg 480-yard par 5 to achieve this. This has happened 3 other times. The most recent one is even rarer. But Mike Pond was able to get a nice lucky cart path bounce off his drive that sent his ball 540 yards downhill, leaving him with a 120-yard shot left on the par 6, which he would go on to make for the first ever 2 on a par 6. However, did you know the man tied with Tiger Woods with the most PGA victories of 82, Sam Snead, also has 1 LPGA victory under his belt? Originally in 1961, a field consisting of 64 men and women, both amateur and professionals, competed in a 54-hole LPGA tournament that was won by Luis Suggs, with Sam Snead finishing 3rd. The next year in 1962, the 2-day 4-round event at the Palm Beach Par 3 Golf Club, Snead posted a score of 5 under to defeat Mickey Wright by 5 strokes in a battle of sexist concept that pinned 14 LPGA players versus one man, the PGA superstar Sam Snead. However, did you know the most expensive piece of golf memorabilia sold for over $5 million in 2022? This smashed the previous record of $682,000, previously held by the first ever Masters jacket won by Horton Smith in 1934 when it sold in 2013. The item that sold for $5.16 million was Tiger Woods' Titleist irons that he would use to win all 4 majors in a row from 2000 to 2001, which would later be called the Tiger Slam. However, did you know there's a number of naked golf courses? Guess there's no worries about what $100 polo you're going to wear. With the first being Le Genie in France, created in 1993, equipped with large putting greens, a genuine driving range with 20 stands, and you can also book a lesson with a pro. Guess you can get really up close and personal with them. Guess Chichi Rodriguez's line of golf is the most fun you can have without taking off your clothes doesn't really hold up here. However, this week's social media influencer Katie Sigmund, an occasional golf enthusiast, was charged with 3 Class B misdemeanors after hitting a golf ball in what looks to be half her club into the Grand Canyon. The sheik carried a maximum fine of $5,000 and 6 months in jail for tossing items and littering the national park. She was hit with a $285 fine and promptly removed the video. Did you know the Old Course in Scotland is twice as old as the United States? First Open Championship was played 2 decades before the invention of the light bulb and almost 3 decades before the first automobile, and Lincoln was president of the United States to 33 states. However, did you know the most holes of golf played in 1 year is almost 16,000? The dream record is held by this man, Barry Gibbons. He accomplished this amazing feat in 2016. This would obliterate the previous walking record of 611 rounds and the cart-only record of 812. He hit a total of 67,840 strokes. Gibbons walked almost 13 million steps, all while carrying his clubs. He completed 878 rounds, covering 15,804 holes at over 21 different courses. Did you know Tiger Woods' backup putter sold for almost $400,000? The putter is from the 2002 season, which Tiger won the Masters and US Open along with 3 other tournaments. Famed putter maker Scotty Cameron regularly made Tiger 1 to 3 backups a year, which most were given away. Backup from the 2001 season sold for almost $155,000, though these pale into comparison to the possible $10 million some experts estimate if Tiger's gamer that he won 14 of his 15 majors with somehow hit auction. However, did you know the best woman golfer isn't Anna Consortium, but is this one by the name of Mildred Bay Dickerson Zaharis? At age 21, the 2-time gold medalist in track and field was introduced to the game at the 1932 Olympics by writer Grant Lynn Rice. At the Brentwood Country Club, the babe would shoot in 91 for the first time and regularly hit drives of 250 yards. 2 years later, she would go on to win the Texas Women's Amateur Championship and would later win 16 consecutive tournaments. In 1938, she was the first woman to compete in a PGA event at the Los Angeles Open. She would compete in 3 more PGA events, making the final cut in 2 of them, qualifying her for the 1948 US Open. However, the USGA rejected her, saying it would be open to men only. It wouldn't be until 6 decades later that a woman would enter a PGA event. After signing with sports promoter Fred Corcoran, they would go on to form the LPGA, where she would win 31 of the 128 events she entered, with 7 of her last wins coming after she was diagnosed with cancer. However, did you know this man, Doug Ford, not only predicted his Masters victory, but his winning total tournament score too? That's exactly what happened before the 1957's Masters, when Doug Ford predicted he would win his first green jacket with a total score of 283. Someone should have asked him for the lotto numbers too that day. However, did you know the longest hole in the world is located in South Korea? The 3rd hole on Gunson Country Club, which was built on a former salt field, features a par 7 that measures in at almost 1,100 yards, located on a course where a third of the acreage is water. The club also has a 723-yard par 6 because, why not? However, did you know Michael Jordan has his own private golf club called the Grove 23? Jordan supposedly got tired of the slow play and lack of tee time at other courses, so he decided to build his own course in 2019. Private club has cars that go 35 miles per hour, food and drinks delivered by drones, and caddies on scooters, along with these ice cubes paying tribute to his airness. The club has fewer than 100 members and is invite only. Some of the names on this list include Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Wayne Gretzky, John Elway, Michael Strahan, and many others. Interesting enough, no LeBron James on this list. Did you know the longest non-tournament putt is 395 feet? The Guinness Book of World Record was set by Australian Brett Stafford of the YouTube channel How Ridiculous at the Point Walter Golf Club in Western Australia. Stafford set the record by starting on the fairway and hit it onto the green to sink the record. Let me know in the comments if you think this really counts as a putt. Did you know if you choose to walk a golf course, you typically walk about 4 miles with 9,000 steps to burn around 2,000 calories? So treat yourself to some turn dogs and beers, my friends. If you had the choice, which of these famous par 3s would you rather make a hole-in-one in during their respective tournaments? The Masters study an iconic 12th hole that is part of Amen's Corner and known as the Golden Bell, or on the opposite golf spectrum, the Phoenix Open's all-day party stadium hole on the 16th. As an Arizona boy, you know my pick. Let me know in the comments your pick. Did you know all-around acting badass Samuel L. Jackson is such an avid golfer that he has a clause in his movie contracts to golf? Marvel's Nick Fury and the Pulp Fiction star has writing in his shooting schedule that the 73-year-old must be allowed to play golf at least twice a week whenever he films a movie. Now that's when you know you've made it in Hollywood. However, did you know the most expensive round in golf is $1,000, which is almost double the second highest? In order to play at the Las Vegas Shadow Creek, you also have to be staying at one of the MGM Resorts properties in Sin City as well. Hope the tables treat you kindly that week. However, did you know every year at the famous 17th Island Green at the TPC Sawgrass, 125,000 golf balls are hit into the water? That's over $500,000 worth of Titleist Pro V1s, or about $30 noodles. It looks like YouTube's top golf creator Rick Shields now has a beef with former majors champion Brooks Koepka, where he mentioned on his podcast moments after being invited into the VIP lounge this Saturday at the Open Championship, the LIV golfer had him kicked out.
Them two, they can come in, okay? See Brooks here, turn to him, and he looks at me, right in the eye. He taps the security guard next to him, turns back to me, points at me, and indicates to the bouncer to remove us from the VIP lounge.
So Rick, if you need some muscle, let me know. Did you know these facts about hole-in-ones? 450 million rounds of golf played a year. A hole-in-one is scored once in every 3,500 rounds, leading to 128,000 a year. That's better odds than the Detroit Lions winning a Super Bowl. The odds of 2 hole-in-ones in a round is 67 million to 1. You have better odds of being dealt a royal flush and then being struck by lightning. According to the National Hole-in-One Registry, 60% of hole-in-ones are scored by golfers of 50 or older, so we still have a chance. With 14% being female, the average handicap is 14 and the average length is 147 yards. 40% of them are made with a 7, 8, or 9 iron. 45% are made with Titleist balls. However, did you know Scotland, the creators and home of golf, once banned the sport for 45 years? In 1457, King James II banned the sport as he felt too many young men were ignoring their military training to play the game. When King James IV came to power, he became the world's first golfing monarch and helped spread the game quickly in the 16th century. However, did you know construction of new golf courses is banned in China? China's government placed a ban on all new golf courses several years ago, although this hasn't stopped cities and local communities from building them. To get around the ban, developers just, conveniently avoid mentioning the fact that they're building a golf course in the proposed plans, because that seems easy enough to do. What the f***? Did you know the term bogey originated from a popular 1890s British island song known as the Bogeyman? Later it would go on to be known as the Colonial Bogey March. The song is based on a pursuit of a mysterious individual. Bogey was first associated with a golfer's quest for a perfect score, until par was considered the more ideal scoring during the early 20th century. If you're wondering what this song sounds like, it's the song playing during this video. Watch again to hear it. Did you know the use of golf tees didn't become common practice until the 1920s thanks to a few dentists? Prior to the invention of wooden golf tees, courses would supply each hole with a box of wet sand, which the golfer would use to fashion a raised mound using either their hands or a cone-shaped mold. In 1899, Boston dentist Dr. George Grant, who later would serve as the first African-American professor at Harvard, grew frustrated with this tedious and messy process, so he would go on to invent a wooden golf tee. Even though the patent for the tee was issued on December 12th in 1899 and was the first in the country, Dr. Grant never capitalized on this invention. Instead, he had prototypes made for his own personal use and handed them out to family and friends. It wasn't until William Lowe, a another dentist invented the ready tee in the early 1920s that we are accustomed to today. Did you know the first golf balls were made of feathers and leather? Manufacturers would wet feathers and then wrap leather around them. This would help the feathers dry around the leather, and it was a very time-consuming process. You can imagine it didn't create the most reliable golf balls. Good luck trying to get some spin on those. However, after winning the Open Championship, the Australian Cameron Smith famously had this to say.
Perhaps you can tell us how you're going to celebrate tonight with the Clara jug.
I'm definitely going to find out how many beers fit in this thing, that's for sure.
Later on, he'd be in an airport and he would let us know just how many does it hold.
I guess everyone's been asking the question of how many beers fit in the Clara jug. It's pretty much exactly 2. Yeah, had a good night last night with it. Cheers.
Did you know this man, John Hudson, once made 2 consecutive holes in one? He achieved this near miracle at the 1971 Martini tournament in Norwich, England. He made both his shots on the 11th and 12th at 195 yards and 311 yards. However, did you know the world's longest hole in one is an absurd distance? It was achieved in 2002 on the par 5 9th hole at Green Valley Ranch Golf Club when Mike Crane was able to take full advantage of the thin air in Denver to make the longest straight drive hole in one at a ridiculous 517 yards. Looks like 2,000 golf video gamers can rejoice. For the first time since 2013, there'll be a Tiger Woods golf game. Tiger will be teaming up with 2K since EA parted ways with him in 2013. With Tiger as the executive director of the game, it's expected to have a number of Tiger exclusive items, such as his own tailor-made wedges, Nike shoes, and Bridgestone ball. The game will also feature a number of PGA and LPGA players, along with NBA great Michael Jordan as a playable character. Did you know anywhere in England you're technically never more than a 20 to 30 minute drive from a golf course? While the US has the most courses in the world, it's one of the least dense countries with total courses to its total landmass, with a course located every 235 miles. And Australia, with its vast landmass, is at the least at 1,875 miles. And England is the most dense with courses every 22.8 miles. Did you know the highest golf course in the world was almost 11.5 Empire State Buildings high in the air? During its operation, the highest golf course was the 9-hole Turk 2 Golf Club located in Morococha, Peru. Definitely butchered all that, sorry. The course was frequently known for causing nosebleeds during its operation until the 1990s, when it was surpassed by the Yak Golf Course located in the Himalayas at just 2.5 miles high, which is still well short of the previous record of 14,335 feet. However, did you know that there's 121 golfers per hole in the world? According to the latest figures released at the end of 2021, the number of golfers in the world has increased 5.5 million since 2016, bringing the total number of golfers to about 66.6 million. However, did you know Justin Rose is the only golfer to achieve this feat? En route to bringing home the gold medal for Great Britain in the 2016 Rio Olympics at the first golf event in over a century in the Olympics. During the first round of the golf tournament at the 189-yard par 3 6 hole, using a 7-iron, he was able to make the first ever hole-in-one in Olympic history. Did you know there's roughly 4 times as many public courses to private ones in the US? 80% of most golf activities happening at public courses and facilities. There's about 7,700 private courses to just over 30,000 public courses in America. Did you know Phil Mickelson, aka Lefty, is actually right-handed? When Phil Mickelson Sr. was practicing his chippy in the backyard, his son, future 6-time major winner, picked up a golf club and started swinging. Lefty was trying to be a mirror image of his right-handed swinging father, so even though he does everything right-handed, the lefty swing stuck. However, did you know Tiger Woods made his first hole-in-one in elementary school? Tiger was able to achieve the golfer's holy grail on May 12, 1982, on the 12th hole at Hartwell Golf Course in Long Beach, California. He was so small he couldn't even see the green until someone picked him up to show him it had gone in. Tiger used an 8-iron on the 85-yard hole on the par 3 course at age 6. Did you know a man once shot his age or better over 1,000 times? Emmett Donnell started his journey to shoot his age in 1992 at the age of 72. The former 4 handicap in his 40s was able to still hold a 9 handicap by age 84. He would set the record at Ahwatukee Country Club in Phoenix, Arizona in 2007 at age 87 with 1,138 rounds at his age or better. Let's hope I make it to 102. Over the weekend, a fan decided they wanted to try and see if they could sink their own trick putt during a PGA round. The fan brought in a remote control ball that he tried to put in the hole that Rory was currently playing on. Rory knocked the ball away from the hole numerous times until he finally had enough and picked up the ball and threw it into a nearby lake. Let me know in the comments if you thought this was funny or immature. This past weekend, a scramble group may have turned in the best score ever when they somehow miraculously shot a 46.
And in first place, with a score of 46!
The score included 12 birdies, 4 eagles, 1 albatross, and a hole-in-one on a par 4. Because, you know, they probably didn't want to look suspicious at all. Just listen to all these 50 scores rooting them on in astonishment. Personally, my favorite part of this is that they accidentally wrote a 47 originally and thought, whoa, boys, let's take a stroke off just in case. You keep being you, red shirt. Last week, Vandals.
I once had a girlfriend
Well, not those kind of vandals. Destroyed 2 greens of a Michigan golf course, causing over an estimated $75,000 in damage. The Lake Doster golf course alleges that someone drove all over its 2 greens, likely with an ATV, and will likely require the course to be forced to use temporary greens for the 2023 season, and will probably need to completely tear the greens apart and resod them. Such a shame. Let me know in the comments what's the worst kind of vandalism you've ever seen at a course. Earlier this week, Mark Wells, a Mississippi man, bit off another man's nose at the Bridge Golf Course. Shocker this wasn't in Florida. Wells, the victim, and others had been arguing about a golf round that they had played earlier that day. Wells allegedly sunk his teeth into the victim's nose in a casino parking lot Monday night and fled the scene in his Tesla before turning himself into police 2 days later. His alleged bizarre and horrific attack left the man's face disfigured, police said. Talk about taking skins to a whole new level. Did you know the oldest player to win a PGA event was over half a century old? Along with the oldest Champions Tour winner at age 68, in 1965, the Greater Greensboro Open was won by the oldest winner for their 82nd career win, and whose previous win came well over 4 years earlier when Sam Snead was 48 to make him almost 53 and the oldest to win a PGA tournament in 1965. From luxury cars to mortgage payments, prizes for making a hole-in-one are nothing new. A trip to space? Now that's out of this world. Okay, moving on. During the final round of the European Tour KLM Open, Andy Sullivan holed a 9-iron from 163 yards on the par 3 15th hole. The ace not only helped him land a 3rd place finish on the leaderboard, but also a seat on a half-hour suborbital flight to 330,000 feet. Sponsored by X-Course Space Exhibits, the trip was valued at $100,000. Hello, ground control to Major Tom. Did you know the fastest round played in the PGA occurred in under 2 hours? Joaquin Neiman set the record for the fastest round in 2021 at the Tour Championship when his group was the first one out that day. He was the lone member of his group after Brooks Koepka withdrew. So with no one in front of him and by himself, he decided to go play as fast as he could just for the fun of it and shot 2 over 72 for a record 1 hour and 53 minutes. Did you know in 2015 a golf course once saved 2 lives? That's what happened when both passengers who were traveling on a small plane crashed into the empty Valley View golf course in Layton, Utah. The plane's engine sputtered and made an emergency stop after clipping a tree and ending up upside down near a sand trap. Both the pilot and another man walked away with minor injuries. They still say no bad days on a course after that. Connecticut residents can breathe a bit easier these days. A serial golf ball thief has been arrested. Police report says a man at age 58 stole around 21,000 golf balls from the Patterson Club in Fairfield over the last year. So this dude is like the Hamburglar of golf balls, which he turned around and sold the golf balls to a nearby driving range for 75 cents a pop, holding around $15,000. The detectives were able to notice the stolen golf balls by the Patterson Club logo on the side of the ball. The man has also been charged with stealing golf balls in 2 other Connecticut areas as far back as 2001. Let's look at some of our favorite golf movie actors' handicaps. Starting with the legend of Bagger Vance actor Will Smith, who rocks a 15 handicap.
Out your f***ing mouth!
Whoa, sorry, Will, I didn't say anything. Go study up on your Dianetics, buddy. Next is the Tin Cup star Kevin Costner at 11.2, not shabby. Meanwhile, gopher hunter extraordinaire Bill Murray rocks an impressive 7.2, while his Caddyshack co-star Chevy Chase's 25 is about as desirable as he is to work with. While Shooter might be the best on tour, actor Christopher McDonald has made his living off of a 20 handicap, while Happy himself, Adam Sandler, rocks a very modest 16. Did you know the official longest drive in professional tournament play was hit by a 64-year-old? The godfather of long drive, Mike Austin, holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest drive hit in tournament play when at the 1974 U.S. National Senior Open using a steel-shafted Persimmons wood driver. He would hit a 515-yard drive with a 27-mile-per-hour tailwind for the record. Though Carl Cooper will always be my long drive record holder. Did you know it's reported that supposedly 1.2 billion golf balls are made a year, with U.S. golfers losing about 300 million annually, with a yearly spend of about 650 million on balls? With balls taking 100 to 1,000 years to decompose, you think we'd be a lot better at finding our balls. Did you know since 1945 an amateurs won a PGA event 8 times, with the last time happening over 30 years ago by one of the game's greatest? In 1991, the first place check of 180,000 had to go to the second place finisher, as the winner of the Northern Telecom Open in Tucson, Arizona was won by Arizona State's future 4-time All-American Phil Mickelson as a 20-year-old junior for his first PGA victory. Lefty would go on to win the tournament 2 more times as a professional. Did you know the Christmas classic movie Home Alone's shooting schedule was planned around tea times throughout its production? The Goodfellas and Casino star Joe Pesci had an arrangement placed that will allow him to play around every morning of the shooting of the classic film. Did you know in Ping's headquarters they have a vault filled with nearly 3,000 gold putters? In the 1970s, Ping's founder Carsten Solholm was looking for a unique way to thank and reward his professionals for using a Ping putter en route to victory. He landed on the idea of creating 2 gold-plated replicas of the winning putter, or occasionally wedges the winner used. One would be given to the champion and the other would be kept in the company's vault with the rest. They're both engraved with the professional's name in the tournament he or she won. Did you know in 2014 at the North Fulton Golf Course just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, there was 84 unmarked graves near the 5th hole? Talk about playing from a buried bye. Park operations director Ray Moss said he always knew there was graves in the park. Okay, Dexter. He just didn't know exactly where until he was able to find an old map of the area. Then he hired someone to use a ground mapping sonar to locate the plots of the former forgotten cemetery. Did you know in 2014 a convicted Australian drug trafficker was ordered to pay back nearly $1.3 million in property and cash after he claimed he earned the money legitimately by retrieving and selling secondhand golf balls? Damn, I'm in the wrong business. Claimed that he was making the very large amount of money from retrieving golf balls on his own over the previous 9 years. But this was all unsupported by any documents, evidence, or any course connections in the nearby area after he made 347 cash deposits totaling this much. I mean, can you blame him for trying? Did you know Celine Dion is such an avid golfer? She once bought a golf course. Talk about letting your heart goes on. The Quebec Grammy-winning singer/golf fanatic, rocking a 17 handicap, once spent millions to purchase the Lamarage 18-hole golf complex in Quebec in the 90s. Did you know the longest golf course in the world is spread out over 825 miles? And it's free to play. Nuremberg Links in Australia is an 18-hole, nearly 7,000-yard golf course that was constructed along the Erie Highway with the average distance between each hole at 41 miles. Each hole has artificial grass for the greens and for the tee box. The fairways are simply the natural desert ground. Therefore, golfers are told to always tee their balls off the fairways. The course was designed to encourage travelers to stop and enjoy the sights of the area. An estimated 20,000 travelers play it every year. Did you know a Dublin man lost an 83-day court appeal over a handicap dispute with his former golf club? Thomas Talbot was denied an appeal in the Irish courts in which he claimed the former golf club accused him of having a false handicap. He felt the club was accusing him of cheating when it sent him a certificate giving him a handicap of 13. Talbot also unsuccessfully sued the club in 2004 for conspiring against him and got into a confrontation with the club's manager over another certificate he received about his handicap. This man takes sandbagging to a whole new level. Always known for tweaking his famous holes, Augusta has done it again, this time with the famed par 5 13th hole known as Azalea. It has been lengthened for April's Masters. The par 5 ranks as one of the greatest risk-reward holes. However, the risk hasn't been there as much as long bombers like Rory and Bryson have been able to take some of that risk out. Originally played at 480 yards in 1934, the hole played at 510 yards last year and is expected to play around 545 for this year's Masters in April. Did you know the PGA Championship wasn't always decided by stroke play? It was actually decided by match play until 1958, with Arnold Palmer and television starting to become more popular. Al Fisherwell would be the first winner by strokes. Did you know during World War II, Great Britain had a number of local wartime rules they used, with some regarding gunfire and bomb shrapnel? Some of these rules are pretty crazy compared to today and make those pool noodles during COVID seem not so bad. For instance, players were asked to collect bomb and shrapnel splinters to prevent damage to the mowing machines. And there was this whole, in competition during gunfires or while bombs are falling, players may take cover without penalty for ceasing play. Or my personal favorite, a ball moved by enemy action may be replaced, or if lost or destroyed, a ball may be dropped not near the hole without penalty. You know, in case a country's being invaded by f***ing Nazis, but you still gotta get your 18 in that day. Did you know the longest holed putt in a tournament was almost half a football field long? That's how long a putt sunk by Bob Cook on the 18th green of St. Andrews in the International 4-Ball Pro-Am tournament on October 1st of 1976, when he made it from just over 140 feet away. Talk about clutch. Did you know being hit by lightning is a 1 in 300,000 chance of happening? However, one golf Hall of Famer has been struck by lightning not once, not twice, but 3 times. The first time coming during a tournament. During the 1975 Western Open, while standing near the 13th hole with Jerry Hurd and Bobby Nichols, the 6-time major winner Lee Trevino was waiting to resume play when a bolt of lightning bounced off the nearby lake and struck all 3 players. The damage would cause Trevino to get 2 back surgeries from a ruptured disc, and the strike would end Hurd's career. A second time almost occurred for Trevino when he withdrew from the 1982 US Open due to back pain, and his replacement was struck by lightning. Guess the dude was just electric. Did you know, according to the World Handicap System, almost 80% of golfers will never have a handicap under 18? Though if you look through the golf commenters, the numbers probably would be closer to 10% if you ask them. Only 1.5% will be scratch or better. So it seems like most of us are closer to Charles Barkley than Rory. Remember that next time you're commenting swinging tip. Baseball has Cal Ripken, NHL has Phil the Thrill Kessel, and the NFL, well, has the reverse Robin Hood and Brett Favre. But did you know the Ironman streak for professional golf lasted almost a decade? Dana Quigley is the official holder of the streak until a hip injury forced the Champions Tour money leader at the time out of the Senior British Open, bringing an end to a streak of 264 straight tournaments in an 8-year time frame. Did you know one man wasn't required to walk the courses during his PGA career? In 2001, current Oregon Ducks golf coach and former Stanford teammate of Tiger Woods, Casey Martin, suffered from a birth defect in his right leg that allowed Martin to successfully sue the PGA Tour in 2001 for the right to use a golf cart during competition. Though he faced limited success in the PGA, he faced much backlash from other competitors. It's amazing he was able to compete at the highest level with a rare medical condition that would later contribute to him losing his leg later in life.